I want to start in Canada before I go through Trump's first 100 days in office. So obviously we talked about it yesterday, and I was breaking down to you guys about how Canada had basically been facing a new election, right? And when Justin Trudeau stepped down, you then had Mark Carney. So this went the opposite. All right. Remember when in our election process earlier last year, we had a situation where Joe Biden stepped down that then allowed for Kamala Harris to step up, and everybody was saying that no, she needed more time. If Joe Biden had stepped down in the beginning, if she had the opportunity to be able to get her voice out. I disagree. I think that we had seen everything we needed to see from the Kamala Harris campaign, and she had no chance of winning against Trump in the first place, all right? They keep on trying to break that glass ceiling. It's not happening. But over in Canada, where they're super liberal, right, the Conservative Party had a huge chance. Polls earlier, before Justin Trudeau stepped down, had shown that the majority of people were actually looking forward to a more conservative party, considering that the economy had been in shambles way before Trump stepped into office. But now they're saying because Trump stepped into office, the liberals were empowered, and Mark Carney just so happened to pull out a victory against his conservative counterpart. This was his speech considering that he won and what he wanted to address with the Trump administration. Check it out.
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen. We are once again at one of those hinge moments of history. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The system of open global trade, anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over. These are tragedies. But he
literally just admitted to you guys. I want y'all to understand what's happening right now. He literally just admitted to you guys that this is a system that was created and anchored by the United States of America. We made the system. We were the biggest consumers. He's telling you out of his mouth that we were the ones that made them wealthy. We are the ones that made other countries wealthy. We are the ones that basically benefited other nations. But the part that he didn't add in there is to our own demise, to our own debt. And so in order for us to have friendships with other people, they basically have been taking advantage of us. And now they want us to continue to bow down to us and just business as usual. He's telling you out of his own mouth, word for word, he said this is a system that was anchored by the United States of America, meaning that we were the ones that created the stability and allowed for everybody else to be able to benefit as a result of it. I'm going to play the rest of it.
So our new reality. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons.
But you're going to take us forward.
We have to look out for ourselves. And above all, we have to take care of each other.
Yeah.
And my message to every Canadian is this. No matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you voted, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home.
Breaking overnight this stunning political comeback thanks to and at the expense of President Trump. Canada's Liberal Party, led by Prime Minister Mark Carney, declared victory overnight despite being really left for dead several months ago. But then Donald Trump took office, targeted Canada with tariffs, and threatened to annex it as the 51st state.
America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
That was the main campaign issue, and this is what Donald Trump has said about Canada over the last several months.
And we can't let them take advantage of the U.S. What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. If we make it in the United States, we don't need it to be made in Canada. We'll have the jobs. That's why Canada should be our 51st state. So when I say they should be a state, I mean that. I really mean that. Because we can't be expected to carry a country. I do like the "O Canada," right? It's a beautiful thing. I think we're going to have to keep it for the 51st state. I call him Governor Trudeau.
Right. How decisive was President Trump in the Canadian election? Our friend Jonathan Martin at Politico heard from Republican Congressman Don Bacon overnight. Yes, Republican Congressman. Bacon told him, quote, "The Liberals in Canada were losing big until our president kept mocking Canadians, our neighbors and close friends. He made Canadian Liberals great again." Let's get right to CNN's politics.
Is there a such thing as making Canadian liberals great again? Let me ask a different question. Is there a such thing as making liberals great again? He said he made Canadian liberals. They literally tried to take Trump's slogan and say he made Canadian liberals great again. All right, so let me ask y'all a question. How are things going to be any different than it was under Justin Trudeau? To my Canadians that watch this, I know that people restream and watch this all over. How will things be any different than under Justin Trudeau? You guys, which I think that Trump just literally outplayed y'all in your own hand and played chess. I think he literally just bullied y'all into making y'all weaker because you guys would have been infinitely stronger under conservative leadership. I believe, and this is my honest to God. Listen, Trump never had any intention on making Canada the 51st state. Y'all let this dude talk y'all into voting liberal and doubling down on what you were already doing that was failing you in the first place. Why would we ever want Canada to be the 51st state when Canada is incredibly liberal and that would impact U.S. elections? Let's just evaluate it and look at it logically, because I know that people vote emotionally. If Canada is incredibly liberal, and let's say hypothetically that it was to become the 51st state, why would we want them to have an impact in our elections as a liberal when Trump is conservative and Republican? And why would we want them to have that much impact and power over our elections? I believe that you guys played right into his hands. Right into his hands. I cannot believe how easily the Canadian people are finessed. I can't believe how easily the Canadian people are finessed. That is crazy. But this just shows you the power of marketing. One man's words. I can't even believe that you guys let somebody that's not even from your country determine the course of your elections. That is crazy. How do you let somebody that is not even in Canada determine what you're going to do inside of your country? Your whole Trump was the rhetoric of the entire Canadian election. It was all based off of his rhetoric. That's insane. That is crazy to have that much control over an entire country. And he just led y'all right on down into the liberal hellhole that y'all in. So you hated what y'all were already dealing with. You hated what you were already doing. And then you decided to double down and get into a situation where you went further into the thing that you hated because you looking at somebody else outside of your purview that has nothing to do with what you got going on. This is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Newton in Ottawa for this really election stunner. 4 months ago, no one would have predicted this.
And good morning, John. In fact, Donald Trump's first 100 days consequential here in Canada. John, this was so history-making that when you speak to pollsters, they talk about not having seen this kind of party resurrection in modern political history in almost any democracy around the world. Think about that. And that was because the man, Prime Minister Mark Carney, met the moment with what? His resume. He's not exactly the most charismatic campaigner, but Canadians put their faith in him in order to bargain, to negotiate with Donald Trump. And I want to talk about something else as well, something that will reverberate in many different countries right now going forward as they all face the Trump administration. Mark Carney harnessed that anger, that betrayal that Canadians felt every time the president spoke about a 51st state or Governor Trudeau, which of course was the man that Mark Carney took over from. He harnessed that. He stiffens spines, he talks about sacrifice, and he's getting Canadians ready for what will be a tough negotiation with the president. Listen.
When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between two sovereign nations. And it will be with our full knowledge that we have many, many other options than the United States to build prosperity for all Canadians.
He don't even sound confident in that. He don't even believe that. He has no confidence. The people that surround him has no confidence. And nobody is even tripping about Mark Carney. No, I'm right across the street from Canada. I can see right over into Windsor. I see you guys coming over here to work every single day. Shout out to all of my Canadians. I actually rock with y'all. Nobody is tripping. Nobody is business as usual. Life is the same. Maple syrup still costs the same. Nobody is concerned. Hey, how many of you guys' lives are actually impacted by what's going on over in Canada right now? How many of you guys' lives are impacted by what is going on in Canada right now? Just questions. Just curious. Are you guys impacted by the foreign exchange rate? Was you not able to get over into the border? What's going on? When they removed all of the American products from the shelves and stuff like that, and now that their shelves are empty, how many of you guys was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Life is crazy.
Mark Carney calling this a hinge moment, right? That pivot, which he intends to execute now that he is prime minister. John, I want to make clear this was a close election in terms of the popular vote. Canada really splitting between the Liberals of Mark Carney and the Conservatives of Pierre Poilievre. That man did not manage to even win his seat just outside here in Ottawa. Some people called him too Trumpian, but he too is at historic highs in the popular vote. What does all that mean? It means Canada itself, stop me when this sounds familiar, is really leaning on two-party politics. They want strong leaders to face the kind of threat that is coming from the White House. And right now, Mark Carney says he is getting ready for negotiations, using the word, again, John, of sacrifice, preparing Canadians for what's to come. John?
So basically, long story short, what Mark Carney is telling you guys is to get ready for pain. Buckle up, Buttercup. Pain is coming. Buckle up, Buttercup. Pain is coming. Get ready. This is his way of saying to you guys, all right, listen, I know you've been suffering, but there may be a little bit more suffrage, maybe a lot more suffrage, but we're prepared. We're prepared to go into a negotiation with Trump where we're going to make things work. We're going to make things change. We're going to make it shake, baby. So God bless Canada. God bless Mark Carney, and God bless the people over there in Canada for making a decision to rock out with Mark Carney. I think that you guys made a huge mistake, but one man's mistake is another man's benefit, right?